well, the fact that you don't know could cost you your life. So please do not touch your dial, because you might be about to hear that one important thing that will save you in that eventuality. Stay with us. World-class life insurance closer to you through selected SG Bank Ghana branches. They have a surprise for you on 0302 267 892, or go to Hear the Future.
Let's talk about Setline and what it is offering. Setline is giving you 6 or series on Netflix or YouTube with any genre of music for free. 200 good hours of what's Francis on Zoom or whichever video application you use. Time is everything, on any network. Buy your Setline device from...
It's become quite clear that there are some places of work that have only one way be the case. What should your workplace have in order to ensure that if there is the unfortunate event of a fire, that you survive it? Well, today we've brought together the exact people who can help us understand exactly what we need to do. First, in the studio, we have ACFO Timothy Osafo Afum. He's the Director of Public Relations at the Ghana National Fire Service. ACFO Osafo Afum, thank you so much for making the time. Good morning.
It's a pleasure being here.
We also have the National President of the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, GISEP, and he's in the person of Nana Ano Amihir II. Nana, it's always good to see you. Good morning and thanks for coming.
Good morning, Kojo. It's a pleasure having me.
Excellent. Now, we're joined, I believe, over the phone, or is it via Zoom, by Dr. Ishmael Norman. Now, Dr. Norman is the president of the Institute for Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. He's on the phone, I'm told. And we're glad he is able to join us. Dr. Norman, thanks for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with you, because you've actually done some research which sparked our idea to have this conversation. Tell us what you found regarding the prevalence of fires.
We noticed that in that research, it was myself as a lead researcher, Professor Akins and Professor Binker. We noticed that Ghanaians basically don't care about fire and emergencies. They basically leave their trust in God. And so even though the rules are very clear, for example, in offices, factories, offices act, Factory Shops and Offices Act requires that you do all these things, precautions against emergencies. And of course, the fire services, protocols, airlines, lays it all out. So it is just the behavior of the people towards fire. Almost every year, we are losing so much money, and we calculated that within a very short period, every single, I think it's less than 20 seconds or so, there's fire somewhere in Ghana. That is not very good. And it's not the fault of government. It's not the fault of fire service. It's the fault of the people who think that, God loves Ghana so much that he will always come and protect us.
Wow. Every 20 seconds or so. Now that's shocking. So what's the reality? I mean, ACFO, is that even a workload that the Ghana National Fire Service can deal with?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Our concern mainly has to do with the incident where a lot of these fires are preventable. That is our concern, because once we keep on using fire and related heat, fires will occur. But our concern has to do with the fires that are easily preventable and which continue to occur year after year, leading to loss of lives and property. That is what we are concerned about. And like Dr. Ishmael said, you go on fire safety education and you don't even have people to attend to you. You go to institutions, they only bring in the security personnel to be trained. And that is how we behave towards fire safety issues. And until we change our attitude, I am sorry to say we are going to continue to experience such incidents in the country.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the ways in which we are putting ourselves at risk. Nana, talk us through a typical workplace in Ghana and some of the common violations or risks that you would see if you were to walk around, a typical office building or a shop or factory.
Kojo, let me say, you couldn't have asked me a better question for me to talk you through this. See, as a safety professional, anytime I go into an office environment, there are so many things that come to mind that I want to make an intervention. I mean, basically, there are certain things like the fire extinguisher. The fire extinguisher, and also, before I forget, I'll talk about the entry and egress that you talked about. I believe in preventive measures not even for the incident to happen before you deal with them.
Yeah.
You go in there, fire starts very small. And the reason why we see these extinguishers in the building is to stop the fire from its infancy, if I should use that word, before it even spreads to be fired.
Yeah.
It goes out of control.
Yeah.
So this young lady sitting at the reception, where the fire is going to start, does she even know how to use the extinguisher? The extinguisher has been put above shoulder or head high. And this young lady, if I may use Mama V.
Oh, yeah, please
Mama
do.
V's height. Imagine there is about 2 kg. When you're lifting above your shoulder height, it's not easy to lift certain weight. And then in the event there's fire, there's panic. So how is Mama V going to go and lift that 2 kg fire extinguisher?
And I'm like 5'4", 5'5".
Yes,
Just a little thing.
to stop the fire from its infancy. You see, these are some of the things. And also that extinguisher, is metal, it corrodes. So when you put it on the floor or on the tiles, whatever, and it stays there, I mean, you put them there as and when we need them. We don't use them every day, and they are there. So with time, the substance in the extinguisher will cake the powder, because when the metal corrodes, it cakes the powder in the container. So when the fire is starting, where you need to stop the fire from its infancy, the extinguisher will not work. So how do you stop that fire? So that's the area that I feel we should concentrate on prevention.
On the substance caking, typically, how long does it take for that to happen?
Oh, well, perhaps, I mean, that extinguisher, I mean, it used to be every 6 months that you need to change it. But now I think they've extended it to 1 year.
Okay.
And
every
also,
year.
you see, we in Ghana, we are resistant to change. About 5-6 years ago, they brought about this, the extinguisher. There was this ball. They've now changed the extinguisher that you put on the floor or your hand. They are now balls that you put around. So if the ball is here, it's very about small, 6 diameters, 6 inches diameter. Anybody, Mama V, with a height, you can just pick it up and throw it at the fire, and that would quench the fire. So these days, when I went to the fire service at that time, I think that almost 10 years ago, and brought it to their attention that this is the new system that should be whatever. But the response I got, I wasn't very pleased with it, and I'm not prepared to say it on air.
But we've come a long way from there, right?
Yeah, so but by now, we shouldn't be using the conventional extinguishers. We should have the balls that is easy, and anybody, I mean, a 5-year-old can pick the ball and throw it at the fire and to quench the fire.
So these are some of the things. Fire extinguishers is something that you focused on for us, and I'm grateful to you for that. I want to come to you, ACFO, before we go back to Dr. Norman. The fire extinguisher is just one of the many ways of fighting a fire, but there are the preventive measures. There are things that we are supposed to do in order to comply with the law when you are building and when you are appointing and furnishing your workplace.
Sure.
To ensure that people are safe. Can you walk us through what the law expects of employers in that regard?
Right. One of the requirements is that you must have adequate exits. So the exits that you have to have within your premises is calculated based on the number of people that are supposed to occupy the premises.
Right.
So it depends on the number of people that are in the premises at a particular time. So you base it on at the peak.
Okay.
What number of people are supposed to be there during peak time? Then based on that, the calculation is done and the number of exits that are supposed to be provided are done. But let's take our homes, for instance. Every room must have at least 2 exit points, so that if there is any emergency and one is blocked, you can have access through the other. And most of the time, the second exit has to be the window, because as we build, we don't provide 2 exits for our rooms. So the second exit always has to be the window.
With these burglar proof?
Yes, that is where I'm coming to. But you see us burglar proofing all our windows, including the doors. And therefore, when there is an emergency, one is found wanting. So our advice to people is that, yes, you need to cater for your security, but you balance that with your safety. So we recommend to people that if you are burglar-proofing your house, go for the collapsible type. That one, there is a key in there. You just open, shift it, and you can exit. But if you go for the local type, that is fixed. That one, when there is an emergency, you don't have any other exit points. So that is what we have to take into consideration. The law also requires that you put in what we call detection and alarm system. So, for instance, one simple one is the smoke detector, which will detect the smoke, raise an alarm for you, so that if you hear it early, you will be able to exit the premises and then sound an alarm, call the fire service to attend to it for you. The other one that the law requires is provision of water. So sources of water is also a requirement there that we have to take note of.
There are many instances in which that will be an issue.
Yes, that will be an issue. Normally, because of that, we ask that maybe you find a reservoir, because you know the water supply system in this country. So once you get a reservoir, but within the industries, we ask them to attach a pump, powerful pump, so that when we get there, once the pump is active, we'll be able to get the required quantities of water that we need to do our job. So that is also to be considered. Then you must also provide what we call a place of assembly, so that if you exit successfully from your premises where you have the incident, then you can assemble at a point where you can do head count to see if all persons in the premises are accountable or accounted for. If not, the moment the fire service gets in there, you must alert them that one person or this group of people are locked up, and you indicate to the fire service exactly where that person or those people are. So these are some of the requirements of the law.
It's interesting. A couple of follow-ups. First of all, you talked about a calculation
Yes.
to determine how many exits are required
Sure.
at peak time.
Yes.
Is it something simple you can explain to us? What's the calculation?
No, there is a formula that we use to calculate.
Oh, it's not a number of exits per,
no.
this number of people.
No.
It doesn't work. It's not simple.
It doesn't
as
work that way.
Okay. And you talked about doing a head count at
Yes.
a place of assembly. Many of the workplaces that I've been to, I wonder how they will even know how many people are in the building at any given time.
So for instance, Joy, in your premises here, you know the number of workers here. At any given point, you have your front desk who should be checking how many people are entering and how many are exiting, so that if there is an emergency, you take that particular book and cross-check whether all the visitors in have exited or there are some locked up. So it is important that these things are done always. And that is why we ask that a company like Joy, you invite us for us to take you through these drills so that in case of any emergency, you know where to start from.
So, is it against the law to fail to meet any of these requirements that you've pointed out?
Yes, it's against the law to fail to comply. And if you fail to comply and you are taken on, you are to be fined, you are to be imprisoned, or both. So these are the penalties that accompany that goes with the law.
We'll come back to these penalties in a minute, but I want to bring in Dr. Norman. Dr. Norman, as part of your study, did you get into reasons, did you get into the state of mind of people, why they don't seem to take fire so seriously, why they are not so bothered about regulations and ensuring their own safety in their places of work?
Oh, yes. Part of the study was to also assess the actuality of perception, not just the actuality of risk, not just the perception of risk. And the average Ghanaian from the study, and we used data from Ghana Fire Service across the country to do our analysis, that the average Ghanaian is not a risk kind of a person. We actually don't pay attention to the possibility that risk is always next to us. Whenever there is good, there is risk. So risk and safety are one of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. So the average Ghanaian doesn't take it seriously, because if we did, we will buy insurance, for example. We will take all the things that the officer is talking about, that Nana Amelia is talking about, and everybody who has ever spoken about this talks about. And part of it is that we believe that all die, we die.
Oh, boy. Right. So
it is a very serious kind of prognosis to, about the thinking of the people towards it. But we are seldom outraged by things that should actually make us very, very angry. Recently, a family died in a fire because all the windows were blocked. They couldn't actually escape because of the burglar proofing. And it would have cost very little money to actually buy the collapsible one. But why should they? The fire would never come to their house.
That's an interesting insight. So essentially, we generally consider death to be something out of our control, so we hardly ever take measures to prevent it.
Because God is calling us home. Eventually, are we not going to God?
Yeah.
The earlier you go, the better chance you have to stay closer to God.
Oh, dear.
Dr. Norman, what would make us change this mindset?
A lot of education. And that is very costly proposal. Because, first of all, for example, Ghana Fire Service is the one that has to do the education. But they themselves have budget constraints. The equipment they don't have, a lot of them, breathing apparatus, they don't have the hazard the suits for them to wear to fire. We've seen them. Sometimes they use handkerchiefs over their noses, and the exposure to danger for them is very high. So for them, when they don't have the equipment to do the job and they are managing, and then to spend money to educate people who are not willing to listen to. I'm an educator, and I know that a lot of students don't even want to learn. They just want to be there and get a degree without learning, without doing the work. So when there is no test involved, when there is no fees involved, you can't actually get the citizens to listen. The chief officers, for the CEO, the sector managers, they never come to safety drills, ever. The CEOs of companies, government institutions, you will never see them at safety drills, but they are the ones who are totally incapable of doing anything to save anybody.
Wow. That's interesting. I mean, it echoes what ACFO told us earlier about how people only they roll out their security men to participate in training when the fire service arrive at their workplaces. I want to bring in Nana here, and Nana, let's do this exercise together. Lead us through this. Let's say a company has hired you, a bank or some ministry or a telco. Some company has hired you to do an assessment of the fire risk at their workplace. Mentally walk us through, when you enter this building, what are the things you'll be looking out for? What are the risks you'll be pointing out to them?
Yes, Kojo, I started with this fire extinguisher.
Yes.
And then let's say you have 10 floors. In your, in safety, we always have plans. In a building, you must have a safety expert to go and write a safety management plan for you. And within that safety management plan, we have evacuation plan in there. And the evacuation plan, when you enter the building, it should be visible. One of the things that I said earlier is the fire extinguisher, number one. Now, let's say you come to the first floor. When you come to the first floor, the plan or must show that you are here, the block plan of the building. At any point in time where you are, there should be a block plan saying that, Kojo Jackson, you've entered this building, and this is exactly where you are. In the event of a fire alarm going off, this is the route that you should escape, and which is clearly marked. And it's neon signs. When there's always fire, there's always the lights will go off, and there will be darkness. So you see that the signs that are used to as the arrows and whatever in darkness, they are neon signs, so you can see them in darkness. So that's the first thing that I want to see, that I've entered this building, and that building tells me that I'm here in the event of alarm going off. Go through here, and then it will lead me to the what you call the egress. That's the technical name. You have the entry, and you have the egress. So that is what I will look for to start with.
Okay.
And it will direct me, and it will take me to where the assembly point, or the Americans have a different way of calling it. The British said the assembly point and the master point. So you get to the master point. But I want to fill in to something what ACFO said about the assembly point. You see, we must have a lot of training. Mama V, as you sit here, I keep on because I like Mama V's name.
Thank you. Thank you.
As we sit here, in the event of fire, do you know really what to do? You've not been our resource person on the. He mentioned education. Everybody in the building must know what to do because they've been inducted in that.
Fortunately, I took some lessons from the Ghana National Fire Service in their compound.
Okay.
Not too long ago.
Fantastic. But what about your colleagues? So what I'm saying is that Kojo Jackson, in a company, I don't want to use but you must have safety wardens as part of the whatever in every department. And the purpose of that safety warden in that department is for the roll call that will happen when you go to the assembly point or the master point. Because that safety warden in that department or at that level will be the one who will go and do the head count and ensure that, somebody is missing. So we haven't got, and another person, another department or the floor level will also do the head count, and that's how it's done. You see, and then also you get a turnover of staff every now and then. You get interns coming in or whatever. So that's why the safety management plan would also ensure that you must have a 6-monthly induction. It's very, very, it's compulsory. It doesn't have to be. You see, Ghana National Fire Service is in a situation where they are constrained financially. There are so many things. Now, I always hear that they become the regulator, the enforcers. Then they are the same people who I see them going to do inspections, and then at the same time writing the plans for the clients. But that is not their role. The act that set up Ghana National Fire Service doesn't give them that role to play, be the judge, the jury, the prosecutor, and everything. So that also is a challenge. So now I started with the what do you call it?
The floors and the plans.
The floors, plans, and
talked
whatever,
about the wardens.
The wardens and whatever.
Yeah.
So I think I've taken you through that process. So is there anything else that you want us?
Well, I mean, what sort of things would be fire hazards? If you're walking around the building, what are the kinds of things that you would see that you would immediately say, that's a fire hazard?
That bounce when I go, see, because of my my if you like expertise in that area, anytime I go, I see so many things. Overloading of plugs, sockets. Sorry, overloading of sockets. The sockets, when you overload it, it heats up, and when it heats up, especially with these Chinese imports these days they don't really conform to the standards. So there are some of the things that quickly come to mind that it can be a source of fire. What readily comes to mind that in the office environment?
Yes.
So many things.
How about blocked fire escapes? I've read about how blocked exits, basically, because we don't really have many fire escapes.
And the exits. I once went through. I don't want to mention the name. There was a fire that happened in some incident that happened at a gym some time ago, and you see, when you talk about egress, emergency exits, you have standards and specs for emergency doors. Emergency doors are not doors that are locked under lock and key. In the event of an emergency, when there's panic, you should be able to there's a handlebar. You put your hand on it, you push it, and you go away. And also something that, as I'm talking, has come to mind. You see, there's something in safety you call mitigation. Assuming that there's a place that is a dead end, that you do not have any egress, how do you escape in the event of fire? So the mitigation is retardant fire doors, or that's the exact retardant fire doors. And the retardant fire doors are made in terms of, they consider how long in the event of fire, and you call the fire service, how long will it take for the fire service to come to your aid? So the retardant doors are made in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 90 minutes. So it's assumed that in the event of fire, and you call the fire service with the traffic congestion and whatever, and that if they don't get there in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and maximum 90 minutes. They've done very well for the fire service to give them 90 minutes to arrive at the destination. And in recent times, I've seen even some doors that are made 122 hours because they realize that in Africa or in our part of the world, the fire service, sometimes they may come even to your whatever, they have challenges with how, to tackle the fire and stuff like that. So you have 120 minutes. So if they've given you 120 minutes to attend, because the reason that we use the retardant fire is that, when fire is outside this studio and you have a retardant fire, door, the fire cannot come inside here because it's sealed and it's oxygen. So people don't know. The moment there's fire, people open door and the fire meets you and gas you. It gashes in and consume you. So when you have these retardant doors, when there's whatever, you do not open them. You stay put, and then the fire service, even if it's going to take them 90 minutes, the door will retard the fire coming into the room. So these are some of the things that must be in place if you have a properly written fire safety plan. Right. That goes with the building. And every building is compulsory, it's mandated. SCFO.
Sure.
That you must have a safety management plan together with the fire evacuation plan. And that should be inspected every year by the Ghana National Fire Service. And then it's part of their checklist that they should do every on a yearly basis. Exactly. So I don't know, SCFO,
exactly.
if you comply with that.
I think that leads us beautifully to the point that I said we will come back to, which is the penalty for violating these laws. The fire service does inspections.
Yes.
So if you go to a workplace and you discover these violations, do you arrest the responsible party?
On few occasions, if you prove stubborn, then we'll let the law take its course. But whenever we detect any infringement, we ask you to rectify. And we give you a time within which to rectify. So if we come back and you have not done anything about it, then it means you are being stubborn. Therefore, we'll take you on. But in most cases, the infringement is rectified, and so that ends it.
Okay. So in most cases, the situation is rectified.
Yes.
So right now, if I were to ask my audience to look around their workplace right now, we would expect most of them to find that everything is meeting
Standards.
the regulations and the standards. Is that what you
Yes.
expect?
Let me quickly add that because we visit them periodically, once they know that, our maybe certificate is about to expire, by the time you get there, everything is in place. But it is when we pay them surprise visits that you see the real situation on the ground. But if they know that my certificate is about to expire, and so any time from now, the fire service may come in. By the time you get there, everything is in place. But you only find the real situation when you pay them surprise visits.
So, Mr. Osafo, are you saying that every building should have a certificate certifying that they are fire compliant or something?
Yes, every public premises, whether it is a personal premises, once it is open to the public, you must have a fire certificate indicating that you are complying with the law.
Is that really the situation on the ground?
Most often, yes. Most often. I can't tell you that all premises meet this requirement, but most often, yes.
So why not?
So that is why I said that if it gets to our attention or if we visit any premises that do not comply, we give you a period to comply. If you don't, then we'll take you on.
How often do you make these visits?
We have a specialized department whose job it is to go around and do these inspections. And so when it comes to our attention, sometimes somebody may walk in to report that I went to this particular premises. What I saw, when there is any disaster, it will be serious. So we move in to check and ensure that the right things are done.
Do you actually get people coming forward?
Yes.
Or calling you to alert you?
Yes. we get people, at least we have some good citizens within the country.
That's good.
Now, it's not just the provisions for fire detection, but even when you are building, when you are constructing, there are building regulations in Ghana
Sure.
that require for you to build fire retardation into your walls, for it require you to use certain cables when you are wiring your building, and if you fail to meet those standards, you are putting people at risk.
Yes.
Does the fire service concern itself with that as well? When people are constructing, do you go and do inspections there as well?
No, thank you very much. You realize that when Nana was speaking, he made mention of that particular aspect. Yes, so any building plan that passes through the assembly, provided you don't build before you come to the assembly, once you go to the assembly, we expect you to bring your fire plan. And that is inspected, and we ensure that whilst the building is coming up, all those facilities you indicated in your fire plan are put in place. So when the law...
How do you ensure that?
We go on site to visit. We pay surprise visits.
To people constructing?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So at every particular stage, we are there to inspect whether those facilities are being put in place. And more especially the high-rise buildings that are coming up. And fortunately for us, most of these high-rise buildings came up after the law was promulgated.
When was the law promulgated?
That was 2007.
Okay.
2007. So we have, the law make provision for the two, that is existing and then new. So for the existing facilities, the safety measures may not be as high as you have in the new premises. Because for the new premises, you bring your fire plan, it is inspected, and we ensure that as and when necessary, we check at every level and see that you are putting in what is supposed to be put in the building to ensure people are safe when they occupy the premises.
You've talked about what you would do if someone brings their fire plan.
Yes.
Is it optional to bring a fire plan?
No, it is not optional. That's why I'm saying that.
So what happens to those who don't, who build without bringing a fire plan?
For that one, in the first place, it is illegal to build without a fire plan. So when we are putting up a building without a permit, that one falls within the purview of the assemblies. We don't come in there. But once you pass your building plan through the assembly, then we expect to see a fire plan, which will ensure that as and when the building comes up, those facilities are put in place.
And you are saying since 2007, you've been on
Yes.
top of this. You've been
Yes.
inspecting people's construction projects.
Yes.
But a recent study told us that an overwhelming majority of construction is done with inferior cables, cables that do not meet our own standards, our own Ghana Standards Authority safety standards. They are fire hazards, and they are in people's walls as we speak.
Yes.
How did you miss them?
Kwejo, the law does not permit us to check electrical cables. What the law permits us to check are the exits that I spoke to you about. Warning systems, firefighting systems, all those things I mentioned. Those are the things we go in to check. And the fire retardant materials that are supposed to be in the building. So that is what we check. We don't
So you
check.
check the fire retardant materials as well?
Yes.
The
If you
doors,
say
the walls,
if you say you are going to
the
provide
ceilings.
fire retardant at this particular exit, then we check to see that indeed what you have installed there is fire resistant, and it meets, let's say, the 60 minutes you say that it can withstand the fire.
Right. Okay, so they decide what standard to build to. You just check to see
So
if they are keeping their word.
if per your drawing it doesn't meet the standard, maybe you can say that the distance from this studio outside is longer. Therefore, when any incident happens, it may take longer time for you to go out. Therefore, stay here until help comes. Then we decide on which type of retardant to use. So you may bring your plan, but if it doesn't meet the standards, we'll ask you to change it.
Okay. So is there a general standard for, let's say, if I'm constructing walls, interior walls, is there a standard of fire retardation that I must build it to? Exterior walls, is there a standard for those? Ceilings, if it's a high rise, is there a standard from one floor to the next? How much fire retardation should be in between? Does Ghana have those standards, and does the fire service enforce them?
For that one, no, I have not come across one. Yes, all that we are interested in is that if there should be a fire here, how long is it going to take for one to get out to safety? And so if it is going to take a long time for you to get to safety, then we ask that you put in fire retardant materials that can withstand that particular period of time within which we are sure that we can get there. So some of these may be discretionary. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Norman, since we're talking about regulations, I don't know what your study also captured by way of enforcement. What seems to be Ghana's record or attitude? You've also been listening to the fire service talk about what they do in that sphere. How does this fit into the information that your study, and in fact your work generally, has discovered?
Yeah, I think we have to be a little bit charitable towards the Ghana Fire Service today, because they are confronted with a lot of constraints. But speaking about the electrical inputs into buildings, I think that's the work of the Ghana Standards Board, and I think in many ways they are not doing too well in evaluating the quality of the products that come into the country. I often buy and change my switches almost every 3 months because I am very close to the ocean, and a lot of the sockets that are brought into this country, because the air is laden with salt, I don't think Standards Board is doing a good job protecting Ghanaians from first losing a lot of money, and secondly, the potential for fire. So a lot needs to be done. There is also a standard, and NADMO, during Mr. Kofi Potofie's administration of NADMO, they launched a building code and has the standard for inner walls and outer walls and bearing capacities of walls. So I think fire service need to collaborate with institutions like NADMO to actually provide a holistic kind of protection for the people of Ghana. There is too much theft control. Standards Board doesn't consult fire service when they are approving wires, whether it's 2.5 cable or 1.5, and it depends on how rich the person is when he's building, when to use the 2.5 and the 1.5 and 10 mm and so on and so forth. So the lack of collaboration within the institutions is part of the problem that we have so much fires in this country. If I had power, I would insist that Standards Board collaborate, because they don't have the expertise in assessing fire capacity of cables and all of that, even though they will pretend to do. They don't.
What makes you say that?
They are not firemen. Fire studies, fire work is firemen who do this. So you may be an engineer to test the elasticity of the cable, to test the resilience of the cable. But that will be for the moment. What about a very prolonged period of time? When you put you put your switch on, 8 hours you are in the house, you are doing all kind of chores around the house. Do you know the amount of heat you are generating in the walls? These are things that has knowledge that we can easily tap into from the Ghana Fire Service, because they have long periods of exposure to fire, and this is what they do for a living. So let them do the work for us. I think Mama D will agree with me that they should actually include the fire service in the assessment of imports, because every homeowner, every apartment renter will tell you that you buy a switch today, give it a month or two, and it's gone. If they are doing very good monitoring, evaluation, and testing, quality and resilience, then we shouldn't have this problem. So, I think we have a lot of problems in Ghana, not because we don't have the protocols or the laws to enforce them, but because we like to create freedom when there is no need. In the modern world, collaboration is what provides excellence.
Okay. All right, Dr. Ishmael Norman, stay with us. We thank you for your time. We also have Mr. Osafo Efum with the Ghana National Fire Service and Nana Amehia II, all in the studio. There's something that I want to know because Dr. Ishmael Norman's study suggests that there is a fire incident in Ghana once every 2 hours. I wonder what the National Fire Service is recording. We've had 73 cases in the Ashanti region just in the first 2 weeks of January. We'll take your calls on 0302-216-541 and 055-1111-997. But that's all after this.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
He wants. What's a wedding easy? Oh, you butu ankasa. Wakaka.
Messi, Lufat na wajima were you?
Hey, malaria drew Lufat. Jama wedding were your hospital.
Sister, where I imagine there, few hours to my wedding. Na Missy Semu huma yeshepe. Minkata was mikuniya. My husband is sick.
Hey, Jama Tonodo. Nabas no yen.
What's the water tested positive for malaria?
No, Nabas one for ambulance na one.
Ambulance. It's not a bicycle.
Hey, no, yasin from Kakabo.
No, kick. Many wedding gonna me make up Nina. Sometimes.
That's right.
Nearest pharmacy. So one meji Lufat.
Entrance pharmaceuticals for one malaria druna.
Inyo. No ye na wanter. Mukuno jina nenadui. A brante pa.
No kuniso. No pona waka that you may kiss the bride. If you want to show day.
No, donna. Man, no, you don't know.
Injija, woman malaria and kawon to them. Lufat. Eye malaria drop a cope. Sa igedin kratui. FDA shemaja to muse eye.
Step up your entertainment from the 5th of January 2022. Already on GoTV Value? Then upgrade to GoTV Plus to watch GoTV Max. Or if you're on GoTV Plus, upgrade to GoTV Max to enjoy GoTV Super. Don't wait. Reconnect and step up your GoTV package today via the My GoTV app. Remember, we upgrade you to the next higher package for free. Terms and conditions apply. GoTV. Love it.
Back it up, fling it up, back it up, y'all. This is the remix. Ha!
This is the remix.
There is fire.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, it's 9:37 on the Super Morning Show, and we're having a revealing conversation about fire. It appears that we've taken quite a lot for granted. We asked the question at the beginning of the show, if there's fire at your workplace, will you have any idea what to do? And, well, we are discovering that there's a lot we don't know about what we are meant to do in case of fire. So we're going to explore that as deeply as we can with our guests, and we are honored to have Dr. Ishmael Norman. He's the president of the Institute of Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. He's joining us via phone, and in the studio we have ACFO Timothy Osafo Afum. He's the director of public relations at the Ghana National Fire Service, and Nana Ano Amihia II, who's the national president of the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, GSEP.
All right, now the UPSA Law School, in collaboration with CATS International, is pleased to invite you to the Africa Trade Roundtable 3 under the theme, The Relevance of Actors Competition Protocols on Ghana's Industrial Transformation. The event will bring together experts on competition policy and law, competition economists, academia, private sector, and civil society to share ideas on the type and form of competition policy and law that would work best for Ghana, ECOWAS, and the Pan-African Common Markets under the AFTA. The special guest of honor for the Africa Trade Roundtable 3 is the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapper. The event comes off today, Tuesday, 25th of January. It started already, but you can catch up. It's happening at the West Wing of the UPSA Auditorium.
Now,
I was just going to say that text
That's all right.
messages on the Super Morning Show is brought to us by Glycocritical Illness Plan, GSIP. GSIP, it's in your best interest to survive.
Okay, now just before we tell you a little bit about Glyco, actually no, not Glyco this morning, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, they've done it again with the kingdomstoreonline.com, which allows you to buy anything of theirs online, hassle-free. And they'll deliver to your home free of charge. If you're in Accra or Tema, that delivery will be free. And of course, you can pay via Momo across all networks for any of their products. Terms and conditions do apply. At Kingdom, quality and affordability is their hallmark.
And just a reminder, don't get tired of washing your hands frequently and carefully with soap and water. Rewash your hands several times a day, especially after touching anything, including your phone or laptop. Use hand sanitizer when you cannot wash your hands properly. Wash fresh groceries, clean and disinfect surfaces such as countertops, door handles, furniture, toys, laptops, and mobile phones with alcohol-based disinfectants.
Now, the way you listen to multimedia's radio stations is about to change. Get ready for it. If you're using a smartphone running on Android, just activate your Google Assistant now and get ready to ask multimedia for a whole new experience. To do this, look for the Google app on your phone. It's that multicolored letter G. Open it, press your display photo or initials on the top right. Go to settings, find Hey Google and voice match. Open it. Make sure Hey Google is enabled by tapping on the switch until it turns blue. You may have to record your voice so your Google Assistant can identify you anytime you speak. And now you're ready to ask multimedia. It's fun doing that, actually. You should try it out. It's really brilliant. Okay, let's get back to this conversation. In a moment, where we want to hear from you. In fact, call us now, 0302 216 541. Or you can try 055 1111 997. There are several people who are listening to us right now who are looking around them and thinking, these things you are talking about, they are not here. I can't see a fire extinguisher. There's only one way in and out of my workplace. There's no plan. I don't know the assembly point. We've never had a fire drill. What does such a person do? I mean, they could potentially be sitting and working in a death trap. What options are available to them, Nana?
On top of my head, I don't know what options. Just that they've been trapped in a situation where they can't do anything about it. I mean, when there's fire, especially when there's fire, there's panic, and then you're trapped. You're waiting to be consumed by fire.
Yeah, Nana, how about the onlookers? I remember the Budubure.
Maybe the fire service can advise us on what to do as an onlooker.
Yes,
in case of a fire.
With the Budumburam issue as an example, I think the best thing they should have done was to have quickly rushed and called the fire service, because we have a station at Budumburam. If they had rushed to call the fire service on time, maybe we might have been able to save the occupants of the premises. However, they did their best to save the situation, and when it got out of hand, before they rushed to call the fire service, by which time we got there, all the persons in there were already consumed by the fire.
You know, to think that you're dying, you know, like it's coming and you're dead, you're helpless and nobody outside can help you. Can you remind us of your number again? Do you have individual numbers for the regions or there's a central number?
Yes, for the emergency number, it is just one. We have an emergency number 192. And we have the national emergency line, which is 112. So these two are the emergency numbers. But we also have a hotline, which is 0302 772 446. 772 446. So these three lines, any of them can help.
Isaac is on the line from Kaneshi. Isaac, good morning. Thanks for calling us, Isaac. What's on your mind?
Yes, my name is Isaac, and I've been following the discussions this morning concerning the fire outbreaks that we've been going through here in our country. I am an electrician, and these discussions actually fall on my line. What I can say about these that we've been going through here concerning the fire outbreaks, just as my brother fire officer said, they are not the ones that normally go for inspections of cables. This is normally done by the Energy Commission, which I know, but the importation of the fake cables that normally passes through, I would say, the doors of Ghana Standard Authority, and they are not actually helping most of us who are always on the plot, because our work sometimes is being manipulated by the clients. Clients will tell you, give me an estimate and put what you will do. But in the long run, he or she will come and tell you your prices are high. Before you arrive, they will pass by you, and then an unauthorized technician will go and do the work by using the fake cables, because they will say yours is higher. You see? So if the Standard Authority can do something about the importation of the fake cables here, I think we will do equal work, and this will stop or minimize all these fire outbreaks. We've been experiencing this for her. For me, I know, and I can say much about it. And just as my fire service officer said, most often we advise, I personally advise my clients that if...
Hello? Seems we've lost Isaac there. But an important point he's making there about the importation of cables. I mean, we already know that there are basically 2 Ghanaian cable companies that have met the standards according to Ghana Standards Authority. And if you're building, Charlie, it's your life. You're spending once on this thing, so why don't you buy the best cable and keep yourself safe? All right, let's speak to a few more people. Benjamin is on the line. Hi, Benjamin. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo. How are you?
I'm very well, Benjamin. Thanks for calling.
Yes, following from what the last caller said, price is not a determinant or a factor. Sometimes I'm saddened when I hear people comparing price to quality. Sometimes some of the things are overpriced, but they are less quality than the cheap ones that you would even think of. And I don't understand why in this country everything that is produced is so expensive. They produce cables here, they are super expensive, they'll come and give you all kinds of jargons, but it doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Talk about agricultural products, everything is just so expensive, But I lay the blame, but I even didn't hear that side. So I wanted to ask some questions concerning the research that was carried out, because I want to understand, now people are being blamed that they don't take care of fire, or they don't even actually take particular interest in it. But the thing is, most of the fires that happen in this country are as a result of electrical cables, okay? So the Ghana Standards Authority is supposed to ensure that the right things are done. Oftentimes they're going to arrest some people somewhere that they are producing fake cables. Whereas these fake cables are coming straight from the port. The Temahabo, they pass through that place. And Standards Authority and FDA, on all those people, they have their people there to monitor. So my question is, if the Ghana National Fire Service do their... So when they put their report, don't they trace back to the company that they bought it from, who actually inspected it from the port? Don't they do the reverse tracking to ensure that the right things are done? Because if we don't do this, there will always be fire, and you end up blaming the ordinary person. If I go to the market, I am looking at the cost, yes. So I will go for the cheap one. That is what I can afford. But it's a responsibility of somebody to do the right thing, and cost is not the only determinant factor. My next question is, we hear of certain, sometimes they tell us it is arson, okay? Some people just go to touch something, but the report, we never get to see them. Why is that the case? Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. Very good questions, actually. We'll get you answers to that. Isaac, we'll get you an answer as well. Any more calls before we come to our panelists, or have we run out of time? Right. This is Benjamin, actually, but he also has an extra question about reports. Why is it that when there are fires, we hear there will be a report, and we never get to hear the outcome of these reports? Several market fires come to mind as we speak.
Thank you, Kojo. Every property in Ghana has an owner. So as a service, when we finish with the report, it is issued to the owner of the property on request. So if you, Kojo, the property is not for you and you come to the fire service, we will not give you the report unless you have the consent of the owner as a third party that we should give it to you. Then we will do that. But outside that, we will not give you the report.
If that's the policy, how are we supposed to learn from these incidents?
Basically, what we do as a service is that once we come up with the cause of fire, we use that in our educational programs to educate the public that don't do this, don't do that. If you do so, it will bring about fire incidents.
Do you think that's effective, bearing in mind that most Ghanaians have never been trained by a fire service official before?
Yes, Kojo, we are doing that because, you see, we've been taken on before. If, for instance, Nana has a property that has burnt, I go and investigate, and I give you Nana's report. Nana can sue me for issuing his report to you without his consent.
What if his property is a public place? It's a mall, a supermarket, where I bring my children to come and shop?
If it is a public place, if it is for government, then that one we can make the report available. But if it is a public place but still a private property, we can't issue the report out.
Interesting. Peter is on the line. Hi, Peter. Good morning. Hello, Peter.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kojo. Kojo, my first question is, how do you identify that the cables or the electrical material your electrician is coming to use for you are not the best? And sometimes some of these cables are laid inside the wall. So when there is fire, it burns through that. So is it possible that when you are coming to build, do the fire service have any desk that you can contact them so that they will give you specific quality that you should buy for your building? Again, how do you identify whether a fire extinguisher has expired or not? So those are my two questions.
Thank you, Peter. Can we get Peter some answers?
Yes, with the fire extinguisher, we have the cartridge type and we have the pressure type. Now intact. Outside that, every year you need, and therefore when there is the need to use it, the content cannot be expelled because it is cake. That is why you service it every year. So we do inspection every 6 months and we service every year. So that is it. And buy a cable, it is labeled 4 mm. Meanwhile, the wire in it is 2 mm. That is what we say it is an inferior quality material. Because you don't label 4 mm cable, a 2 mm cable that it is 4 mm. So what it is your electrician will ask you at this particular point, what do you want to use here? At that point, what do you want to use? If you say air condition, then you will buy a material that can pick the current that air condition will use. And so if you buy 8 mm material, which contains 4 mm, then when you immediately power your air condition, after a period you see it bursting into flames. And that is what we are talking about.
Interesting. Thanks for that. Nana, I got a text message from Issy, who wants to know how she can lay her hands on your balls. You know, the balls that extinguish the fire. Where can she get?
The balls, they are not readily available because the time when we wanted to introduce them to compete with the conventional whatever, we weren't given the go-ahead, or if you like.
Okay, so they are not actually available.
But they can be. There are some places, but they are not widely available in the country. But, so if she wants, I can lead her. Where
I'll put you in. I'll put you in touch with her. Okay, thank you for that. All right.
I wanted to talk.
Yes.
You see, when you were talking to ACFO on the quality and installation of building and stuff like that, you were veering into the building code, which is with assembly. You know, before you can build, you need a building plan. Building plan. No, what do you call planning permit, and then building permit.
Yes.
Now, with a building permit, it goes into the Assembly's building inspectorate, and the inspectorate division, they have their work cut out for them. Because why am I saying that they have their work cut out for them? For every stage of your construction, the inspector from the foundation, they should go and check whether you're doing the right thing. When you finish the foundation, the elevation, they make sure that even the concrete blocks that you use, they do compression tests to ensure that you are using the right blocks and stuff like that. When then you come into the electricals is the responsibility of the building inspectorate department of the assembly to ensure that all the wiring, installation, everything that is supposed to be used in the construction conform to the standards.
Wow. So it sounds like there are several people we are paying, the state is paying a salary to keep us safe in this regard.
And when you finish, on top of it, when you finish even your construction, your building, there's something you call certificate of occupation. You must be given certificate of occupation by the assembly before you can actually habit the building.
Indeed.
So all these things, have you ever come across the building inspectorate or the assembly issuing out a certificate of occupation? Have you seen it before?
No, I haven't.
Yes, the construction up to the roof level and the small works and everything. At the end, before you can go and occupy.
So to you, ACFO Timothy Osafo Afum, Director of Public Relations at the Ghana National Fire Service. You need a lot more education. We need a lot more exposure to knowledge under this topic. So we'll be doing more. Mama V, what's social media saying? Do we have any tweets coming through?
Okay, let's check out some messages on Twitter now. So this is Achasan says, the LI 2008-2011 requires electrical installation of new and existing buildings to be inspected, tested, and certified. This is to establish whether or not those facilities are safe for continued use. If the fire service includes electrical safety and condition report as part of the requirement for fire safety certification, it would go a long way to reduce electrical-related fires. I tweet _abscess in Ghana. When there is a fire, people take a couple of selfies and update their social media account before you run for your life.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for all your tweets and calls. Thanks for listening. I'm afraid we've run out of time.
The certificate, I said, it should be certificate of completion.
A certificate of completion.
Not certificate of occupation.
All right. Thank you very much, Nana. Thanks for that correction. It's time for us to go. We appreciate your attention. I'm the morning man.
Our morning show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.